Well, I ain't picking the Jets to win again. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, a podcast where you don't have a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Yeah, that was a big mistake last year. I'm sorry, Bills fans. Grossi, and today we are gonna be taking a trip through the AFC East. And last year, yeah, I was pretty high on the New Jersey Jets, which I have learned from now and have been in reconciliation for my sins. Never again. Ever, but I'll always believe in the Cardinals. I'll always believe in you. Taking a look at what happened last season, the Bills ran away with the division. The Miami Dolphins underachieved. The Jets underachieved seems to not really explain the depth of how disappointing it was. And the Patriots could be better this year. And so while there's a lot going on within the division, the Dolphins are trying to find themselves. The Patriots are looking to do this rebuild the right way. And the Jets, they're just looking to rebuild from their last rebuild. I feel like this is the Bills' division to lose. So while it doesn't make it as exciting as some other divisions, I still think that there are some good matchups here, and the potential that one of these other teams emerge, at least as a wild card team, could at least make this division a little bit more intriguing. So starting off with the defending AFC East champs, you got the Buffalo Bills. The Bills! I did not believe. I didn't think they had enough wide receivers. I didn't know how their run game was going to be. And then Josh Allen was like, hey, I'm going to go win an MVP. Also, we have a really good run game now in James Cook, and no, we're not going to pay him. And suck it, Tom. And that's exactly what happened. I said they would have a 7-10 floor, as I thought they would be rebuilding or reloading last year, and a 10-7 ceiling. And their actual record was 13-4. So I would say I suffer enough, but I jumped through a table. So, I bled. My back is messed up forever. So I feel like we're kind of even now. And at this point, they're not the Patriots, but the Bills have won the AFC East for 5 straight years. So it's starting to feel a little one-sided. And I'm sure Bills fans have absolutely no problem with that. And taking a look what they did last year, they were second in points per game scored in the NFL. They were 9th in rushing yards and 9th in passing yards. And this is something that I mentioned in the AFC North episode. For a while, you could, of course, admit that Josh Allen was an incredibly talented quarterback. The problem is that he was forced to pretty much do everything. Yes, they had receivers like Stephon Diggs, and they had a nice connection, but ultimately, they were only going to win that game by throwing the ball. And Josh Allen threw the ball a lot. And last year with James Cook and that run game, they got significantly better. And it wasn't just James Cook, it's Ty Johnson, who they brought back. He's been a dynamic playmaker. And of course, you also have Ray Davis, who I will always love and support. And so together, they were able to have a really nice ground game. And so because of that, their offense was really good. On top of that, their defense, nothing to wag your finger at, except again for the secondary, which is why they drafted a corner in the first round. They were 11th in points per game allowed. They were 12th in run defense and 24th in passing defense. So not the worst in terms of their secondary, but definitely they need to improve. And during this offseason, they got rid of Von Miller and got Joey Bosa. I don't know if that's an improvement, but it is something, and at least they went out and got Hairston, who I know was dealing with an injury. I'm recording this on the last day of July, so I don't know if it's been updated since then, but last thing I saw was that at least things were intact, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be a season-ending injury, which thank goodness for that. But on top of that, they added edge rushers, they added defensive tackles, adding to that defense, hoping to make them a little bit better. And ultimately, for the Buffalo Bills, like I said, I think this division is well within hand, but it doesn't mean that their schedule is the easiest. They have to go up against the Ravens opening on Sunday Night Football. They got to go against the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Bengals, and the Eagles all at home. Those are going to be difficult games. Then their away schedule, not as bad. They'll go against the Steelers. We'll see how good they are going to be. They're going against the Texans. And ultimately, besides, some division rivalries that they might have some problems with, I still think their ceiling is incredibly high. In fact, I have their floor one of the highest of any team, and I think they're around 10-7. And it would be really difficult for me to find 7 losses here. This is if everything goes wrong. And I have their ceiling right around where they were last year at 13-4, and that's just because they have some really tough games at home. However, if they're able to win those games, then maybe, just maybe, the Buffalo Bills will be able to get over that hump and get back to the Super Bowl, hopefully winning one for their fan base. But ultimately, I think the Bills will win the division once again. I think they're going to have a great season. The real question is, will they go all the way this time? Following that, you got the New Jersey Jets. You know what? You got the New York Jets. Just feels like you guys need a win. The Jets, I had high expectations for them last season. Of course, they were robbed a season before that. Aaron Rodgers getting injured within the first few plays on Monday Night Football. I was like, all right, he's going to come back. He's not going to be worse than Zach Wilson. It was not good. I had an 8-9 floor prediction for them and a 12-5 ceiling. They went 5-12, so that did not work. And now Jets fans, they're watching Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh.
Terry, like a lot of people, doesn't know me. And so he's got an idea.
I really hate that man.
Head coach got fired. Nathaniel Hackett still is employed, now by the Packers. Oh, God. Things are not the best over in New Jersey right now. And that's just where they're playing. Justin Fields, he was the big signing this past offseason. Of course, they went and re-signed Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, 2 major contracts, and they're going to need to invest in those guys if they want to find some success. At least they were able to hit on those draft picks, so that should be a nice foundation to build off of. But ultimately for the Jets, this is going to be a figure-it-out kind of year. They were pretty busy in free agency. They had a lot of folks to sign. On top of that, they went and drafted offensive tackle, which I loved for their first pick in the first round. And it just seems like now it's getting their footing. They're going to try something different because the Aaron Rodgers experiment obviously did not work, but I do think that they're doing things the right way. And if Justin Fields can even be above average, the Jets, I don't think they're going to have a great season, but at least they'll have a foundation that they can work on. And if they're going to go get another quarterback, they may be in position to do so. Last year, they ranked 25th in points per game scored on offense. They were the 31st rushing offense, which is really, really bad. So yeah, Breece Hall, they need a much better season for him. I know he's been dealing with injuries, but if he's also going to get an extension, they really need him to turn it up. And they were 16th in passing offense, so dead slap in the middle. Then over on defense, in points per game allowed, they were 20th. They were the 17th best run defense and 4th best passing defense. So again, their secondary, Sauce Gardner, playing pretty darn well. It's why he got a big time extension. You want to keep at least that group together. And Sauce Gardner is one of the better CBs in the league. It's important that he is going to get paid, and hopefully that just ages very well. But ultimately for the Jets, besides within their division, who they're going to have some tough games, they don't have the easiest of schedules. They got to go against the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Falcons, all at home besides teams like the Bills. And on the road, they got to go against the Buccaneers, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Jaguars. Not the easiest of slates here. And so because of that, with some uncertainty with Justin Fields, I hope he has a good season. I just don't know how good he is going to be and how efficient that offense is going to be. If they're able to balance it out with a really good run game, the Jets could be solid on offense. I have them with a floor of 6-11, so improving from where they were last year, but a ceiling of around 8-9. I think it's possible that they win 9 games. It's just going to be tough because they're going to need to beat out the rest of their division rivals. We'll see what happens with the Bills. I don't think that is going to happen, but they also have some tough opponents ahead. But ultimately, let's just see if they can build towards the future and not be in pain anymore. Then you got one of the more intriguing teams in the NFL this year. You got the New England Patriots. The Patriots, I didn't really have high expectations for them last year. We were going to see how Drake May was actually going to play. I had a 4-13 floor for them and a 6-11 ceiling. They went 4-13. But that put them in position to draft an early offensive lineman, who I'm very happy that they got. Will Campbell T-Rex arms unite. But ultimately for the Patriots, this is going to be a very interesting season, and we're going to get a really good look at Drake May. Because for Gerard Mayo, they had to move on from him pretty quickly.
It's not you. Well, actually, it is you.
And they were pretty busy in free agency. They got Stephon Diggs and his little pink bag full of happy things. They got Harold Landry, they got Spillane, they got Davis, they got Moses, they got Milton Williams, and they even brought over Mac Hollins from the Bills. So they definitely were busy in free agency. They had the money to spend. And of course, Mike Vrabel is back. And I really like Mike Vrabel as a head coach. And ultimately, I think they're at least on the path to getting better. And like I said, if Drake May is good, that's going to determine how good this team is actually going to be. Last year on offense and points per game scored, they were 30th. They were the 13th best rushing team, which, by the way, I'm very excited to see Travion Henderson. I hope he does well. And they were dead last, 32nd in passing offense. So that needs to get better. I know Drake May was not playing the entire season, but let's just hope that gets better because it can't get any worse. And over on defense, they were 22nd in points per game allowed, 23rd in run defense, and 10th in pass defense. So their secondary was pretty darn good, and Christian Gonzalez is a phenomenal player, so hopefully he is able to remain healthy. I know that there was a little bit of a scare in camp, but hopefully he's good. And so that defense should be pretty damn solid. Mike Vrabel knows all about coaching up defenses. It's just going to be a matter of, can this offense score points? Because last year, they were unable to do that specifically in the passing game. And taking a look at their schedule, I don't think it's the absolute worst. At home, they got some tough games, but besides the Bills and Dolphins, they're going to have to deal with the Steelers and the Falcons. Other than that, the Jets, Giants, Browns, Panthers, Raiders, I think that these are winnable games. Taking a look at some of their away games, besides the Bills and Dolphins, they got the Buccaneers, the Bengals, and the Ravens as the toughest games that I think they're going to need to try and overcome. But ultimately, even if they lose those games, I still think the Patriots could have a pretty good season. I think they could be a fringe wildcard team. I have them with a floor of 7-10 and a ceiling of 9-8. I think it's possible that they win 10 games. They're just going to have to steal one from the Bills, and they're going to have to basically sweep the rest of their division to get there, because like I said, the Buccaneers, Bengals, and Ravens, that is not a fun away schedule. But I do think that they have enough winnable games, and if Drake May is good, it could put him on a path to success. And then finally, you got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins just make me sad. And if you're a Dolphins fan watching, you're probably like, how do you think I feel, Tom? And it's probably sad as well. Because after Mike McDaniel got his nice extension, and I thought maybe his seat was a little bit hot, now Mike McDaniel's seat is pretty darn hot, and his Dolphins squad might be in danger.
Hey, seriously, is this safe?
Yes, very safe. 50-50.
50-50, what, like 50% we live, 50% we die?
And unfortunately, and this has just been such a tired narrative, but it really is the only thing that can be talked about, is Tua's health. If Tua is healthy, this team is so much better. Insanely good they have so much firepower. But unfortunately, as Tua gets injured and as guys on that offense get older, that window is going to shrink and shrink and shrink. Last year, I had a 6-11 floor for them and a 10-7 ceiling. They went 8-9, so it was right within that window of error. Taking a look on offense, they were 22nd in points per game scored, 21st in rushing yards, and 15th in passing yards. Again, it kind of sucks when you lose your starting quarterback. What else are you going to do? And they were also dealing with a bunch of injuries last year. Over on defense, they were pretty damn good in points allowed. It was 10th in the league, and they were 9th in run defense and 9th in pass defense. So the defense, if anything, that is where they were still pretty darn good. It was just their offense, ironically enough, that could not keep up. And I do think they have a decently talented roster. Yes, they lost Jonnu Smith, who had a nice breakout year last year, and their tight end room right now, let's just say it doesn't speak a ton of confidence to me. They did lose Jalen Ramsey, but I think he was an aging player. And even though they paid him a whole lot of money, at least they got Minkah Fitzpatrick back because Brian Flores isn't there to hurt him anymore. I also do like the fact that the Dolphins added in the trenches in the draft. And taking a look at their schedule, besides going up against teams like the Bills at home, they got the Chargers and the Ravens, the Commanders, the Bengals, and the Buccaneers. That is a tough stretch at home. Over on the away side of things, the Falcons and the Steelers are probably the toughest games besides the Bills that they have to worry about. The Colts, Panthers, Browns, and Jets, I think, are winnable, but we just don't know what kind of team the Miami Dolphins are going to be this year. And again, if Tua is healthy, they should be at least a wild card team. That being said, I have them with an 8-9 floor and a 10-7 ceiling. And I feel like for the foreseeable future, until that consistency can be there at the QB position in terms of health, which this is not a fun narrative to talk about. I want Tua to do well. I think the Dolphins are one of the more exciting teams when they are healthy. It's just they are not healthy right this second. And so I have them at 10-7. I hope they're able to hit their potential because the league and this division is more fun when the Dolphins are good. I know that there's 3 other fan bases that will say otherwise, but Dolphins, 10-7 ceiling. Please just stay healthy. And so if everything plays out the way I predicted, I have the Bills finishing first, the Dolphins potentially finishing second, with the Patriots very close behind, and ultimately the Jets in fourth. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You know, I saw me at TomGrossiComedy.com, and a big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.